I love dragons. In fact, I started this channel by reviewing my Mcfarlane dragons. When I finished with those, longtime viewer Amir Alabi told me about the excellent Monster Hunter creators models. And now that I've finished with those, he's again called my attention to the Wizkids Icons of the Realms Dungeons & Dragons line. So Amir, I really want to thank you, while my wallet really wants to strangle you. My first exposure to dragons as a little kid was this St. George and the Dragon by Paolo Uccello. There was just something surreal, bizarre and frightening about it, especially since I couldn't read and understand what it was about, and it gave me a few sleepless nights. Next was Dungeons & Dragons. Now this was significant because it introduced me to a systematic lore involving dragons. If you've played the original RPG, you would remember this set, which was one of my most prized possessions as a child. That image of the Red Dragon was for many years my idea of the dragon. The morphology of the dragons themselves have evolved with time. Now this is the AD&D Monsters Manual. And you can see it looks nothing like the Red Dragon of today. By the 3rd edition, the look was more or less standardized, and this 4th edition is my favorite painting of a D&D Red Dragon. And that's the form we'll see in the Wizkids Icons of the Realm Adult Red Dragon. Now, this box is really huge, and just like the Capcom Monster Hunter creators models, you'll find a lot of it is empty space for this clamshell to create a protective buffer during transport. Now I'm not overly fond of it, so I'll probably just cut this part out and throw out the rest. So let's get him out. So first a note on the base itself. It's a nice transparent disc. And here you'll see this white circle, which describes a 3-inch space that this model will occupy on the grid map if you use this for gaming purposes, making combat easy to visualize. On the underside, you can just make out Adult Red Dragon. The Red Dragon is the exemplar of all chromatic dragons, and also the largest and most powerful. While different chromatic dragons have different breath weapons, and the Red Dragon's is the traditional fire. Now the dragon is on this transparent support in a pleasing flying pose, a nice iconic pose for any dragon. As you want to see in any dynamic pose, the model looks good from any angle. Now, the dragon itself. Now first of all, I have to say that paint-wise, while nice, it's not impressive, especially if you've seen my reviews of the creators' models' dragons and wyverns. I'd say it's on par with the Mcfarlane dragons, and you'll see as we move regionally, there are some variations in colour. Now granted, the Red Dragon as depicted in D&D doesn't have a complexity in colour, but in general, it is surprising that so much of it is just one wash. Now you see this especially in the expanse of the body here. And on the beige yellow underside. Now that said, let's get to the detail where this model really shines. Now first, the head. You'll see the recognizable features, such as these upswept backward curving horns, and also the side facial frills. The detail here is quite obvious, but also highlights the lackadaisical paint application in a single wash of red. Now fortunately, the supporting structures of these frills are dry brushed in the crimson to bring out some detail. And the tongue is also different. But I think you can imagine how a masterful paint job could really elevate and do justice to the sculpt. Now let's go down. And here we have the sail supported by these tines, reminding me of an Amargasaurus-like device. detailed scalation down the neck, and then you see the single color application. And then the very nice scaling down the forearm here, and here, with some dry brushing of this beige to help bring out the detail. There are these classic elbow spikes that you often see in dragons, but would never work in a real animal. The segmentation down the ventral side is very nicely done, with a little bit more complexity in that paint application. And down the torso we see some rather weird anatomy, with what looks like the scapula, the lats, and perhaps the serratus down here, which we can overlook given the fantastical nature of the beast. And then down the thighs, the legs, and the feet here. Nice claws. And again, sadly, that single color just makes it look like a plastic toy. And finishing off the axial anatomy is the tail. This touch of black helps to break up the rather monotonous red. And finally, the wings. The wingspan to body ratio is the first I've ever seen in a dragon model that actually looks believable. If you compare the relative sizes of this whole area to the body here, believe it or not, there are people who've calculated what the wingspan should be for a dragon to actually fly, and this still falls short from the general consensus. So it's nice to see the massive size of them. The quality of detail really is beyond contestation. The wing arms have a very minute scalation that looks really good. Going across the wing, you'll see all kinds of textures in the membrane. These folds, veins, down to these fingertips. Now incidentally, all these can be quite sharp, so take care with children. On the other side, you'll see once again that detail. And luckily, there's a fade of black applied on both sides, which lends some interest and gives the color scheme some respectability. Let's compare him to a couple of other red dragons. The first, we have my very first red dragon. And here we have the Mcfarlane Series 2 Komodo dragon. The color scheme is quite similar with this beige yellow underside. Next, we have the Capcom creators model, Monster Hunter Rathalos, and here you can really see the difference in paint application. Now keep in mind that this is almost twice the cost of this US $70 dragon, so we have to be fair. Interestingly, the color scheme is again very similar, with the red here and the yellow beige here. But then again, finally, we also have the Capcom figure builder Safi Jiva. You can see that even for such a small dragon, there's just more complexity in the various reds here. And here. So it's really a pity that more effort was not made to give this adult red dragon a more worthy paint application. Overall, however, this is a very nice dragon to have, being not just an iconic red dragon, but a Dungeons & Dragons red dragon, and this could very well be an essential first to have if you want to start collecting dragons. Again, thanks to Amir Alavi for calling my attention to this excellent and affordable line. And that's why I'm grateful to have viewers who know a lot more about dragons and dinosaurs than I do. I really get to learn a lot, getting new information, or even having certain mistakes corrected. That makes this channel really a pleasure project of mine. So that's it for now, and I'll see you with more dragons in future.